Welcome back to Call of Duty Warzone.
I can't afford that. What do you think I'm out of money?
No.
I can't afford the annual Call of Duties.
No. I mean, when you really think about it, isn't everything just Call of Duty?
I'm not sure I follow the logic.
Well, Sora has been called to the duty of protecting the world from the darkness.
I mean...
Call of Duty... I'm really tired, guys. Can you tell?
Well, to be fair, we don't usually record late at night, but we're busy today.
Well, we were busy in that I was playing video games and Ryan was playing video games and we didn't want to do other things. Which is hilarious because that's literally what we do for this channel.
But video games are fun, and sometimes you need a break from some types of video games.
That's true.
In fact, I am both concerned and shocked that some people can actually play this, like... The people that play, like, only Call of Duty just confuse... Like, how do you not get bored of a first-person shooter?
It's like... Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there are days I think to myself, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing a first-person shooter, but... I don't think I could do it every...
No, because, like, for you, anyway, like, what I've noticed in our time together, anyway, is you have to be in, like, very specific moods for certain kinds of games. Because, like, I'll use two examples. Like, you know, like, Dying Light and then that one that you played that was in, like, the subway system.
Metro.
It's like, I don't ever really see you playing games like that unless you're in, like, the mood to play something like that. And that's not saying that's a bad thing, by the way, just so you're aware. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's kind of just how everybody goes, but it's like, I don't understand. Like you were saying, it's like, how do people just only play one thing?
Like, as another example, using myself, like, when it comes to games, my favorite my favorite genre is usually always going to be RPGs.
Yeah.
Like, this is an action RPG, but semantics, like, no, I don't want to go here yet. But it's really just about, like Final Fantasy Kingdom, Kingdom Hearts is less so, but it's still like an RPG franchise. And there was a time where I was playing, like, one or another RPG almost back to back, but then doing that really just kind of burnt me out.
Yeah.
It got to the point where at one point I was dedicated to trying to get at least one of every Pokemon generation Nuzlocke done. I can't even bring myself to finish the one the last one I have to do, really.
Yeah.
Because that's so much, because I was just playing RPGs all the time.
Is Pokemon an RPG?
Yeah.
Never knew.
RPGs arguably are the kind of game where stats dictate most of... Skill is not going to play as huge of a role as raw numbers. Yeah, yes, skill will still play a part. I'm not going to say it won't.
Because every video game requires some level of skill.
Yeah, like, there are people who play, like, the Shin Megami Tensei games, which are known for being, like, really hard RPGs on low-level runs. Or they intentionally limit their stats in some way. So there's obviously a skill, or I guess at that point a better word would be strategy, but still there is a way to play it where the raw numbers don't dictate success or failure.
Yeah.
That being said, though, like, RPG, like in an RPG specifically, those raw numbers usually make a big difference, or at least in terms of the amount of leeway the game will give you.
Yeah.
It's actually for that reason why I'm not so keen on going back to... Because I was having fun with SMT5 in the early game, but as it's gone on, I'm having less and less fun with the battles in it.
Okay.
Only because that game, I found out after the fact, has a very weird sense. A very weird sense of level scaling.
Okay.
Whereas basically the way that it's set up is that you're either it doesn't really feel like you'll ever be over or under, like you'll ever on an even footing, really. Like, I know it's a hard game, but the game, oop, I didn't mean to do that. But the way the level scaling is set up, it doesn't feel like the game really will give you, like, leave you on even footing with any enemy.
Holy shit.
What?
The fucking money that's pouring out of these guys here.
It's because if you're at their level or under leveled, you have an endurance stat which more just dictates your HP.
Oh.
That used to also be your defense stat, but the way the level scaling is implemented is basically the difference in level is how much defense you have. And yeah, there are people who have done like low level runs, and that's where again that strategy.
What's in that door?
This is where I came with Beast earlier. But like
Sorry.
so that's where that strategy of a turn-based RPG comes into play.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, like I am a filthy casual. I will not hide that fact. And so when a game, and I'm not opposed to playing harder games. Like, I've played Dark Souls, I've played Persona, which are harder but not the hardest RPGs.
Yeah.
And I've played Shin Megami Tensei 3, which was known for being one of the harder RPGs in the series.
Yeah.
I played that one with almost no trouble. I don't know if I want to be out here.
That wyvern just, like, clipped.
Just like, nah, goodbye. But yeah, like, so I can play harder games, but at the same time, one, I have to be in the mood to play a game I know is going to just mess with me.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, like, one of the reasons why I can't be bothered to play Bravely Default 2, which came out on the Switch, and
Well,
that
started
hurt.
it, didn't you?
Yeah, I started it.
Yeah.
I got a fair ways into it, but I just can't put up with it anymore, which is a shame because I love the first Bravely Default. I like the second Bravely Default, like Second Layer it was called. Like, I had a lot of fun with those games, but it seems like the decisions they made for 2 were to just increase difficulty, and it's not really a franchise built around difficulty.
Okay.
Like, it's at the point where I'm playing on easy, and a boss is, and one of the, like, not even the final boss, just a boss, is making me feel like I have no legitimate way of winning this. Again, if I'm playing on easy, yeah, I'm sure I'm not going to expect every game to have an easy mode to make it an absolute cakewalk.
No.
But when an RPG has HP values in the tens of thousands, and the most you as like a casual player can sometimes do is like 1,000,
Yeah.
it starts feeling like horse shit. And then another part of Bravely Default 2 is why, because again, this franchise doesn't build itself as a hard franchise. It's actually, like, I found the games on 3DS to be a lot of fun with how relatively simple they were.
Yeah.
See ya.
But, like, because another element they introduced in Bravely Default 2 was that bosses had all sorts of counters. Which, okay, on its own it's fine, but when one of your counters is, oh, my opponent has healed, therefore I shall attack, and basically, because they used healing magic specifically, they can counterattack and basically make that effort worthless.
Yeah, that's dumb.
It's like, that's like me doing that, and an enemy just coming in and just dropping my health by over half.
Yeah.
Again, like, there were people who play it and be like, "Oh, it's not that hard. You're just off lot." Okay, fine. I freely admit I am bad at it.
Those are the same people, though, that will bitch about, like, there being anything except, like, hardcore modes on a lot of games, though. Like, I feel like those are very much the same people who are like, "Ugh, if you're not playing on this, then why are you even playing it?" Or, "Why are we making accessibility options for people who don't want to play it the way that it's quote unquote meant to be played. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah,
Like,
and normally
why don't we just let people enjoy things the way they want to enjoy things?
Yeah, and again, to my point, like, yeah, I'm a filthy casual, but if I can make my way through Dark Souls, like, I have beaten Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3 multiple times, and Bloodborne, you know, from the developers that make the hard games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because, like, Dark Souls and that, like the Soulsborne series in general are, like, fairly well known as being, like, some of the hardest video games ever made.
Yeah, like,
right?
So I haven't beaten all the bosses in all the games, but I have beaten the games.
Yeah.
And typically gone out of my way for most optional bosses, with only a few exceptions. And I know it's an action RPG, but that doesn't really help that one in too much, in my opinion, because it's this. What I'm doing now with Sora, that is the best defensive option you have in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And you can't spam it too. So, but still, like.
Yeah, because it takes up your, like,
stamina.
Yeah.
But when it comes to traditional turn-based RPGs, especially again when it comes to Bravely Default 2 on the easiest setting, and my party's still getting slapped, and I'm not I wouldn't say I'm under level. I think my party's like level 50 or so for the point of the game.
Okay.
And these are typically games that expect you to be able to finish them around 60-ish. Like, I've never seen an RPG that demanded you grind to max level to beat the game. So yes, it does make it easier, but I've never seen a game that actually made that almost a requirement.
See, I don't like that either, though, because that it's like, I feel like that's almost overinflating the amount of time people will spend on the game then. Which, like, I know is, like, a thing for developers. It's like, they want people to spend more time on their game, but if you're doing it through artificial bullshit means, then, like, what's the point?
And, like, as much as I've lost interest in the narrative of this franchise of Kingdom Hearts, I can say it's a good. The Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, especially, well, 2 at least in my eyes, is a great example of a game that can be a comfortable ride on an easier setting. So standard in terms of Kingdom Hearts is a comfortable ride, I'd say, for most skill levels. But it offers that choice of, if you want a challenge, like a genuine challenge, you have critical, you have proud mode.
Like, I think Kingdom Hearts was the first game that I ever played that was like, well, other than, like, I think Final Fantasy 12? No. Yeah. No, 13. 13-2 or whatever, because that, like, I think Kingdom Hearts was, like, the first game that I actually went, like, 100% through that, you know, was, like, different than, like, Minecraft that I played. And it's, like, I found it challenging, but it wasn't so challenging that it deterred me from ever playing, like, RPGs again. Because, like, I would say, like, RPGs are probably one of my favorites now, too. Like, one of my favorite genres. But, like, you're right in that it's a very comfortable experience for people without being, like, bullshitty.
Yeah.
And then you get to Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's, like, easy right to the end. And then the end is bullshit.
Yeah, and then they also introduced proud mode to make, but I'm not going to be good for that. I'm not typically one that plays on proud mode. I tried in Kingdom Hearts 2. I think I got to somewhere in Agrabah before I started, like, repeatedly dying.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to say I was like, oh, it was a bullshit experience. It was kind of fun. It just wasn't the kind of fun I like to consistently have.
Yeah.
So, like, again, Kingdom Hearts, for all its faults narratively in my eyes anyway, for gameplay, it strikes a nice balance of having a comfortable option if it's someone who just wants to play a hack and slash game.
Yeah.
But and also giving you that option if you want. If the regular mode wasn't giving you enough challenge, well, here's another option that will offer give your standard playthrough more of a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's not like this game's unbeatable for those that don't want to play it, like get slapped by enemies on every world.
Yeah. It goes back to the whole, like, quote-unquote accessibility stuff with video games, because it's like, there are so many fucking cool as shit games out there that will, like, I don't want to use Dark Souls as an example because, like you said, like, you can beat it, but it's like games that were made to be like so hard that it's like not enjoyable for like the average player. And like I get that like companies don't want to like cater to everybody with everything that they make, because that's just not how stuff works in general, right? But like games that have no way for people to enjoy them unless they're like hardcore, you know.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, there's a game that, like... I'm going to refer to this individual as Doucheface McGee. I'm sure you can probably understand who I'm talking about based on, you know. It was a certain ex of mine.
Okay.
Who, like, there was a game that he had showed me. It was called, like, Darkest Dungeon or something.
I think I've heard of that one, yeah. It's an indie one, right?
I think so. But it was like, it's so fucking stupidly hard. It was like, how is that enjoyable? Because, like, when I play a game, and obviously, I don't speak for everybody who plays video games. Oh god. I have such bad hiccups. Yeah, like, obviously, I don't speak for everybody who plays video games. There are people out there who really just enjoy doing challenging games, right? But, like, when I sit down to play a game, I want to actually, like, have fun. I don't want it to be, like, something that gets me angry and frustrated. Which is part of why I stay away from, like, competitive stuff, too. It's because, like, I don't have fun with that kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand people who will only play, like, stupidly hard games. It's like, how is that fun? Why don't you just sit down and do something enjoyable? You didn't really think that through, did you?
No. Oh, we'll have to see when the next episode 3 Let's Play. I want to get myself out of this jam.
Yeah. Peace out, everyone.